What no one saw coming. Just 6 months ago, Washington was getting ready for a major showdown with New Delhi. They were plotting trade wars and thinking about serious punishments. The talk from the Trump team was tough and direct. India had to pick America's side or be left behind. It seemed a clash was unavoidable. But look at what's happening now. The very same people who were planning to hit India with penalties are now talking about working together. Big business deals are being discussed. And after months of having no top diplomat in India, Washington just rushed to send a key person to New Delhi. These aren't small adjustments. This is a complete flip in their plan. So what triggered this? What made America's leaders change their rigid approach and try for friendship instead? Here's the surprising part. India didn't change at all. New Delhi is still buying cheap energy from Russia, still putting high taxes on American goods, still talking with all sides. Instead of joining any one team, India's strategy stayed exactly the same. The change came from Washington, not New Delhi. And when the world's most powerful nation shifts course this fast, it's not because they suddenly got nice. It's because they realized their original plan was failing badly, and that failure was creating bigger problems than they had imagined. This is what we're looking into today. Why America had a change of heart first. Why India has more clout than people think, and why this shift could change how the whole world operates. Let's go back to how this started. When Trump returned to power, everyone knew what to expect. America first was back in full effect. For countries like India, that meant one thing: do what we tell you or face the consequences. And the consequences came right away. New fees on Indian goods sent to America. We're talking 25% extra costs on steel, textiles, and chemicals for Indian companies. This was devastating. Profits vanished overnight. People were losing their jobs. Whole industries suddenly couldn't compete in America's market anymore. But that was just the start. Then came the real attack. They went after India's oil agreements. Another 25% tax on Russian oil that India was buying. This was no longer just about money. This was about basic survival. India has to purchase most of its oil from other nations. Russian oil, which was selling at a low price because of the war, was keeping fuel costs down for over 1 billion people. Cut that supply and everything gets expensive fast. Trump's logic was simple. Stop buying Russian oil, stop helping Moscow make money, join our side in this fight. But for India, this felt like being told to hurt their own population for someone else's war. Why should ordinary Indians pay more for fuel just to please Washington? And here's where things got really messy. While America was threatening India, they didn't even have anyone important there to talk with. No ambassador for months, no senior diplomat to explain what was happening or try to fix things. Imagine you're starting a trade war with one of the biggest countries in the world, but you won't even place someone there to manage the relationship. While America was sitting around, other nations moved quickly. China sent their top officials to New Delhi for important discussions. Russia kept making energy deals with India. Big regional meetings were planned with India sitting next to China and Russia, not America. While Washington was absent, everyone else was present and engaged. The real mistake wasn't the taxes or the threats. The real mistake was thinking India would just give in. That financial pressure would make them do what America wanted. That New Delhi had no choice but to bend to Washington's will. But that guess was completely wrong. Then everything changed, not slowly, but almost in an instant. The harsh words from Washington became milder. The threats became offers to negotiate. The demands became requests for partnership. What happened? Several things came together at once. First, Trump met with Putin in Alaska, a surprising meeting that shocked America's friends in Europe and sent shockwaves through Washington's foreign policy world. But here's the crucial part. After that meeting, America seemed to back off on India as if they realized they couldn't fight everyone at the same time. Second, and this was key, India didn't fold. After months of economic pressure, New Delhi stood firm, still buying Russian oil, still protecting their own companies, still refusing to pick sides, and they weren't quiet about it. They were confident and spoke their mind. This sent a clear message to Washington. India was not going to be bullied. Third, other powers started to make their moves. China's foreign minister visited New Delhi for major talks. Russia announced new energy partnerships with India. Regional gatherings were being planned where India would be seated with China and Russia, leaving America out. Every day America was gone was a day their rivals gained ground. The language from Washington started to shift. No more angry talk about India's unfair trade practices. Instead, words about working together and finding solutions. That's government speak for we need a new approach, because this one isn't working. Then came the biggest sign, rushing to appoint an ambassador to India, and not just anyone, Sergio Gore, one of Trump's closest advisors, someone with direct access to the president. That's not routine diplomacy. That's crisis management. Why the sudden shift? Because staying rigid was becoming risky. Every day without proper representation in New Delhi was a day China and Russia got stronger there. Every harsh statement pushed India further away. And in today's world, losing India doesn't just mean losing one relationship. It means losing your entire strategy to balance China. Look at the map. America's plan to contain China needs partners all across Asia. Japan and Australia are committed, but they are far from where the action is. India sits right in the middle of the Indian Ocean, controlling the shipping lanes that carry half the world's trade. Without India, the whole plan falls apart. Washington finally realized what should have been obvious from the start. You can't contend with China without India on your side, and you can't get India on your side by threatening them. Here's what makes this story truly captivating. India has much more leverage in this game than most people understand. And right now, that leverage is at its highest point. Think about it. Washington is changing its tune, not because it wants to, but because it has to. China is getting stronger every day. Russia won't back down. Europe is divided and distracted, and placed in the middle of all this chaos is India, the world's fastest growing major economy, the most populated country, and a democracy that can talk to everyone without being controlled by anyone. That's real power. Let's break down why India has so many advantages right now. First, its location. India is at the center of the Indian Ocean, where the most important trade routes in the world pass through. If you want to move goods between Asia, Europe, and Africa, you go through waters near India. That gives New Delhi immense strategic value that can't be replaced. Second, its markets. American companies are desperate to find new customers beyond their own saturated markets. Where do they want to go? India, with its expanding middle class that could reach 500 million people in just a few years. Tech companies, retailers, defense contractors, everyone wants access to India's market. Third, energy. India is one of the world's biggest energy buyers. Right now, they're buying cheap Russian oil, but they could just as easily buy American oil and gas. That's a bargaining chip worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Fourth, its military position. America's whole plan to contain China depends on having strong partners across Asia. Without India, that plan doesn't work. India's navy controls the Indian Ocean. India's military can put pressure on China from the south, while America applies pressure from the east. Without that teamwork, China has a much easier path to dominance. Fifth, its diplomatic reach. India is the only major power that can sit with America, Japan, and Australia in one meeting, then turn around and meet with China and Russia in another. No other country has that range. That makes India a bridge between different worlds, and in a fragmented world, bridges are extremely valuable. So what does this mean in real terms? It means India shouldn't see Trump's friendlier tone as a gift. It's not charity. It's an acknowledgement that India is too important to lose. This is the moment for New Delhi to push for real gains. Lower duties on Indian goods, better technology sharing agreements, more American investment, a partnership where India's independence is respected. But here's where it gets truly interesting. India isn't just sitting back and waiting for America to make offers. They are actively using this moment to strengthen their position even more. India just announced major deals with multiple countries at once. Infrastructure projects with Japan, energy partnerships with the Middle East, technology agreements with Europe. These moves show that India has choices and isn't just relying on a single partner. It's a classic chess move, using one's position to get even greater advantage. By diversifying its partnerships, India is signaling to Washington that its friendship is not guaranteed, but something that must be earned. The message is clear: you want us on your side, then you need to come to the table with a better offer than your competitors. This is a new level of confidence for a country that was once seen as a junior player. India is no longer asking for a seat at the table. It's building its own table and inviting others to join. This shift in global dynamics is huge, and it shows that power isn't just about military strength or economic size. It's also about leverage, smart positioning, and a clear understanding of your own value. India has mastered this lesson, and the world is taking notice. They're expanding their alliances while America is trying to win them back. The timing is not a coincidence. Every deal India announces sends a message to Washington. We have other options, so if you want our partnership, you had better make it worthwhile. Consider defense. For years, America tried to sell India weapons while holding back its best technology. Now, India is saying, if you want us to buy your weapons instead of Russian ones, we demand a full technology transfer. That's a negotiation, not a surrender. And that is what is driving this change in Washington's plan, because here's the reality that Washington is finally grasping. America needs India just as much, maybe more than India needs America. And for the first time in decades, Washington is showing that they know it. Let's look at some numbers. India is currently the world's 5th largest economy, growing faster than any other major nation. By 2027, it is expected to be the 3rd largest, overtaking Japan and Germany. Economic size leads to political influence. But here's what truly got America's attention. India's growth is no longer dependent on America. 20 years ago, cutting off trade would have badly hurt India. Today, India has so many other partners that losing America would be painful, but not a catastrophe. China is India's largest trading partner. Europe buys massive amounts of Indian goods. The Middle East provides energy. India has built a network that doesn't center around America. At the same time, American companies are desperate to get into India's market. Apple, Google, Amazon, Walmart, they are all investing heavily in India's growth. When these companies push for better relations, that quickly changes Washington's political thinking. Here's something important. India watched how China handled American pressure and learned crucial lessons. When America pressured China with trade wars, China did not back down. They absorbed the hits, diversified, and kept growing. Eventually, America was forced to work with China because pressure wasn't working. India used the same strategy: absorb pressure, build alternatives, and make yourself too important to be ignored. But India had advantages. It is a democracy with cultural ties to the West, and it is not trying to replace America globally, just asking for fair treatment. America's plan to contain China relies on strong military allies across Asia. India is essential to that plan. China is expanding its navy and building bases across the South China Sea and Indian Ocean. America needs local partners to counter this. Japan helps in the north, Australia in the south, but India controls the central Indian Ocean where crucial trade routes pass. When Trump's team was pressuring India on trade, they ignored this military fact. But when China expanded its naval presence and India talked about deeper cooperation with Russia, Pentagon alarm bells rang. Military leaders told the White House, "We need India more than we need to win trade arguments." That changed everything. Military concerns outweigh economic ones in Washington. So where does this leave us? Let's be clear about what is really happening here. This isn't just about Trump being friendlier to India. This is about America admitting that the old strategy of pressuring, threatening, and demanding obedience no longer works with India. India has reached a point where it can say no, where it can withstand pressure and continue to follow its own path, where it has enough alternatives that no single country can force it into line. That's a fundamental change in global power dynamics. For America, this means learning to treat India as an equal partner, not a junior ally. No more ultimatums. No more you're either with us or against us. Instead, it's about finding areas where both countries win while accepting that they won't agree on everything. For India, this is a validation of their approach. Multi-alignment is effective. Playing all sides while serving your own interests is effective. Refusing to be anyone's junior partner is effective. The pressure from Washington didn't break India. It made India more resilient and self-assured. But let's not mistake this for a lasting peace. Trump's softer tone is a strategic move, not an emotional one. If India pushes too hard or gets too close to China and Russia, the pressure will come back. And if America finds other ways to contain China without India, their plan could change again. The key for India is to use this moment wisely, secure long-term advantages while the chance is available, get better trade deals, guarantee technology transfers, build economic partnerships that outlast political changes, turn America's current need for India into permanent benefits. But here's what makes this moment particularly significant. This isn't just about dealing with America. This is about establishing India as a true global power. one that is consulted, not commanded. Consider what this means for other countries watching. If India can stand up to American pressure and force Washington to change its approach, that sends a message. You don't have to accept whatever America offers. You can bargain for better terms. If you are strong enough, other countries are taking notes. Brazil is watching. Indonesia is watching. Turkey is watching. They are seeing that India's approach works, and they are starting to adopt similar strategies that could change how international relations work. Instead of a world divided into rival groups, we might see a world of independent players who work together on some issues and compete on others, because opportunities like this don't stay open forever. China is watching closely, looking for any sign that India might move closer to America. Russia is doing the same, worried about losing their energy customer. Both would love to see this US-India reconciliation fail. That's why Trump's timing matters. Appointing an ambassador now, just weeks before major regional meetings where India will be seated with China and Russia, is a clear signal that America is back in the game. But this time they're playing by different rules where India is treated as an equal, not a subordinate. So when people ask if Trump is truly softening his stance toward India, the answer is yes. But not because he wants to, but because he has to, because India has reached a point where pressure no longer works, where threats push them away instead of bringing them closer, where America needs India more than India needs America. That's the new reality. And it changes everything about how these two nations will interact with each other going forward. India isn't asking for permission anymore. They're setting the terms. And for the first time, America is listening. The question now is whether both sides can transform this temporary shift into a strategic partnership. One where India keeps its independence while America gets the ally it needs to balance China. If they can achieve that, it reshapes the entire balance of power in Asia. If they cannot, we are back to confrontation, but this time with India holding even more advantages. That's the story behind Trump's milder tone. It's not about friendship, it's about power. And right now, India has more of it than anyone expected.